Hi guys, Brittany Lake here. So tonight I wanted to talk to you about reasons why you might still be binging or struggling with binging and what you can do about it. Now you guys, if you don't know my story, I am a former food addict, an ex-yo-yo dieter, and I have had issues with my weight ever since I was 12. It was always really difficult to lose weight, and it was an uphill battle for many, many years until I learned how our bodies were designed to manage weight properly. And then I got my stuff together and worked through the emotional stuff. But this isn't about me tonight. I just wanted to let you know that if you're struggling with this issue, I've totally been there too, and there's no judgment because honestly, it's not your fault. It's probably not your fault that you're binging, and I'll explain why. But before I get into all that, I wanted to explain what my definition of a binge is and why it can be so easy to do it without even thinking about it. So for me, I don't even know what the technical description of what a binge is, but to me, this is what it looks like. It's when you eat twice as much as your body needs. So for example, if my body only needs like half of a cheeseburger to get satisfied and it's like some fries, and I eat a whole cheeseburger and a whole side of fries, that's a binge for my body because it's twice as much as my body needs, and then I'm way up to a 9 on that hunger and fullness scale. Okay, if you don't have the hunger and fullness scale, make sure to go to brittnylake.com/resources so you can know all these different levels of hunger and fullness, so you know what you need to be looking for when you're assessing whether your body's had enough yet or when it's ready to eat. So that's very, very important. Now, so that's my definition. Your definition might be different, but it's very easy to overdo that. So like if I were to eat half a cheeseburger and some fries and then had a shake on top of that, then I'm getting up to like an 8.5 on that hunger and fullness scale for sure. For example, anyway, I won't get into that part. But, so that's my definition of a binge. Anytime when we eat twice as much or more than our body needs. Like when we are overeating, that's just a couple bites past polite fullness, okay? Like maybe 5 bites past polite fullness, that's when we've overeaten. See how easy it is to binge and like not even process what you're doing? When we're not mindful and aware, it's very easy to binge and to get to that point where we're eating twice as much or more than our body needs. But as you get really in tune with your body and you begin mastering where that last bite is at a perfect level 7, where you know the next bite is going to make you feel slightly less good, then you start to realize how those lines become stronger, where those levels are. But if you're coming from a background like me where you've been an overeater or a food addict, then those lines, they're very, very blurred, and those signals are very, very dull, which is why it takes time to regain that sensitivity back, and which is why coaching is so necessary for many of us who need help determining where those boundaries are together. Okay, so that's what a binge is, when you eat twice as much or more than your body needs. So here are 2, maybe 3 things here that I wanted to address tonight that might be reasons why you're still binging if you've been trying to eat intuitively and you're doing really, really, really good, but then you find yourself binging again and you feel out of control and you don't know why. Well, there are some clues as to why that is happening. Having gone through this journey myself and lost over 70 pounds eating intuitively, I've been there, and I've been coaching clients for almost a year now through the same weight loss journey that I went through. As an energy healer, we work through the emotional baggage too alongside this. So I've seen this from all angles, and there's many common factors as to why someone might still be binging when they've been practicing these eating intuitive principles. So the first one is you're still restricting at some point. That's usually the bottom line. If you're binging, you're still restricting. You might not realize it. So let me share with you some things that you might not have noticed. So if you're still binging, you're still restricting on some level. One, either you're not allowing yourself to experience full food freedom and eat what you actually want to eat when you're hungry. So that's one. It is so very, very important that we allow food freedom in this process, especially if you're coming from the background similar to mine, where you're an overeater, food addict, or yo-yo dieter. Because anytime we have restriction around a food group, psychologically, we want that food even more. Adam and Eve, anybody? That's what I'm talking about. It's that forbiddenness of that food that makes us want it. Why? Because we need food to survive. Our subconscious doesn't see good food or bad food. It sees food, fuel, survival. And when we start placing restrictions around that, then it's very, very easy to want to binge on those foods or become more preoccupied with those foods. Like, maybe I won't go into this one. I'm sharing a lot, and I want to dive more into this into the webinar tomorrow, which, by the way, if you haven't yet registered, go to BrittanyLake.com/webinar. This is the last day to register for it. It's tomorrow, you guys. But I want to share a quick story about restricting food. So one time, or I should say the many times that I've gone on a no sugar diet restriction in the past, one of those times I thought I was doing so good. It had been like 3 weeks. I hadn't touched sugar. It was completely gone from my house. But then one day I was assigned to bring dessert to a family gathering, and I was in charge of it. And I decided, oh boy, here we go. I got to make something good, because I'm going to allow myself to have this one dessert, right? And then I'm going to go back to restricting and being on my no sugar plan, okay? And so I decided it had to be good. And I was really excited, figuring out what recipe I was going to use, really just salivating over all these sugary desserts, because this was my one chance to get it right. And then I was going back on my no sugar diet and be a good girl again, okay? Comment below if you've ever felt like that or done one of those no sugar things before, so I know I'm not the only one. So here's what happened. So I decided I was gonna make something called Kansas Dirt. I don't know what you guys call it, but my mom's from the South, and so that's what we grew up calling it, Kansas Dirt. Basically, it's like an Oreo pudding with layers of yumminess and Oreo crumbles and gummy worms, and it's delicious. Okay, so I was preparing it for a lot of people, and I was putting it into cups. I had like 24 cups, and I decided that these 24 servings of Oreo pudding cups I couldn't part with them. I decided to hoard them, and I stuck them all in my freezer, and then I went out and bought a $3 chocolate pound cake with strawberries and whipped cream, and that's what I brought to the family gathering, because I was so obsessed about the sugar, and now that I was allowing myself to have a little bit of it, I couldn't handle it, and I had to hoard all of them. I didn't want to give them away. I had 24 of these pudding cups, and I put them all in my freezer, and for the next 2 weeks, I ate one. I ate one like every day for 2 weeks, because I couldn't part with the sugar. That's not normal. That's not healthy. And I never would have done that before, but because I was on this no sugar diet and I was trying to be a good girl and not eat sugar, that's what caused me to have this disordered thinking around food. And then I had disordered behavior patterns because of that restriction. My subconscious doesn't see that Oreo pudding as bad. It just sees food. And when you restrict food, you've got this like survival response in your body, in your mind, and it doesn't like it, and it will fight back, and it will make you start hoarding food or binging out on food. So that's my story, you guys, about the pudding cups. Super embarrassing. Let me know if you've ever experienced anything like that. But it's restricting food groups that make us do weird things, like binge on pudding cups like that, okay? So if you find yourself not really allowing yourself food freedom, and I'm not talking about people who have allergies. Allergies go under foods that don't make me feel good lists. So that's not it. It's about people who try to still keep their diet rules along with eating intuitively like this for weight loss, and it just doesn't work. I've seen it time and time again with my clients. Those that try to hang on to old diet rules and they don't allow themselves to fully make peace with all their forbidden foods, it doesn't work the same way. And they go through that process. So if you find you're still binging, maybe take a closer look at what foods are you not allowing yourself permission to eat when you're hungry and you're craving them. And then go out and get those foods when you are craving them and you are at a level 3 hunger. Because I have noticed time and time again in myself and on my clients that it's not about the food. So if it's not about the food, then eat what actually tastes good to you and makes you feel good. Sometimes that'll be healthy food. Sometimes it'll be your old forbidden foods. And that's okay. That's okay. Because the first step in this process is to stop binging. Once we stop binging and we get a grip on the overeating and the emotional eating, then naturally our body's going to lose weight because we're eating the caloric needs appropriate for our body's ideal weight. See where I'm going with that? Okay, number 2. If you're still binging, then you're restricting because you might be restricting and not know it because you're not understanding where a level 3 hunger is. This is a common one that I've seen come up. And I've been debating on how to address this best because I have my recommended reading books, but I'm finding that with that recommended reading books in the group, that people are running into the same problems I had with those books. And I don't like that. I don't want to create problems for you. I want to solve them, which is why I made my 10-week program to help you with this. But I want to make sure everybody knows in this group that the mark to look for level 3 hunger is not an audible growl, okay? A level 3 hunger, what you need to be looking for, write this down, put it on a post-it note, and memorize this. You're looking for an emptiness plus a discomfort in the stomach area. Once you feel a gnawing or a twist or an ache along with that emptiness, then you know you've arrived at a level 3 hunger and you've got the green light to go ahead and eat. And eat just until that green light goes off and you're no longer hungry. Okay? That's what you're looking for. But with some of the recommended reading books, like Way Down, or maybe you're listening from other people, this is a major misconfusion, and that's a problem that I ran into when I read those books too. And I learned the hard way. So if you want to get off of the binge cycle there, you need to reevaluate where level 3 hunger is. Because if you're waiting for an audible growl, that sometimes you're going to be accidentally starving, waiting around for an audible growl, and it's not going to work. If you haven't already watched my video on that, let me recap that for you real quick. So the audible growl comes because you have emptiness in the stomach and a buildup of hydrochloric acid, right? And that's good. That's what makes you feel uncomfortable when you're hungry, okay? So you've got that uncomfortable feeling and it's empty, but if you assume that you have to wait till you're growling, you might be waiting a really, really long time because water dilutes that hydrochloric acid throughout the day. So if you're drinking lots of water throughout the day, you're not going to get an audible growl that makes your body physically grumble all the time or exactly once you hit a level 3 hunger. So you might be bypassing hunger by hours if you're waiting for an audible growl. Don't do that. When you bypass a level 3 hunger, which is a very subtle cue, if you bypass that, then you're going to drop down into a 2, then a 1, then a 0, and you're going to be gasping for food. And then of course you're going to overeat or binge because you're starving. Don't starve. When you eat like that, your metabolism actually slows down because it thinks food is scarce because you're bypassing hunger. You're not eating when you're actually hungry. So it starts slowing down and it hangs on to weight. And then you gasp for food like you would gasp for air when you've been restricting oxygen for a while. And then you've overeaten or binged. Okay? So I hope everybody understands that now. Those two things. The antidote to binging is allowing full freedom and giving yourself permission to eat when you are actually hungry at a level 3, which is emptiness plus discomfort, not the audible growl. Don't make that same mistake that I did. Okay, so there is that. And the last thing I just wanted to say is emotional baggage is always going to be a contributing factor to these kinds of issues. So if you ever need additional help with that, let me help you in my 10-week program as we address that emotional baggage through energy, healing, and hypnosis, tapping, and mindset work to really address that. But make sure you're following those 2 antidotes for binging to get you started. And if you need more help, I'm always here for you. So you guys, that's a wrap for tonight, but I wanted to invite you, if you haven't already, make sure to register for my free webinar training tomorrow. You guys, this is your last chance to register for it. It's live and it's free. You'll get the replay if you can't make it live, but you have to register in order to get the replay. And that's at noon Mountain Time tomorrow, Tuesday, May 15th. And it's called The Secrets of the Naturally Thin. The 5 secrets I finally learned that helped me lose over 70 pounds without giving up the foods I love, like donuts and pizza. Okay, I didn't binge on those foods. I learned how to eat them in moderation and when my body actually wanted them. And I'll give you the rest of the secrets in the webinar tomorrow. So come and join me. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to really break this down for you in an hour-long training. So register for that. The link is also in the title of this video. You guys have a great night. Bye.